Ah, yes, it's time to press the big red emergency button in the Big 12 because, of course it is. This is Locked On Big 12, I guess, or whatever.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Houston beat Kansas State. Texas Tech beat Iowa State. Iowa State lost to Texas Tech. Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. And I'm not sad for Houston. I'm not sad for Joey McGuire. I think this is a I know it is a marquee win of the Willie Fritz era, who, by the way, continues to win football games already, way ahead of schedule, at Houston. And Joey McGuire back in the saddle. Those things rock. You know what doesn't rock? The good teams of the Big 12, the top of the Big 12, losing. Look at this. I'm in the middle of like this musty, weird kitchen thing in an Airbnb in Waco, Texas. I leave you all alone for 1 week. I stop babysitting for 1 week. If you hit subscribe, I get to keep my job, by the way. I would love to do that so that I can continue to afford maybe a little bit nicer of an Airbnb next time. 1 week, I go to Baylor TCU thinking, oh, yeah, bunch of big spreads. I don't know. Kansas State will blow them out. Iowa State will blow them out. You guys got this. Take care of yourselves. I don't want to be watching. I'm going to be hanging out down here in my alma mater. How fun is this? That good old day. And this is what happens. You know how I started my day? I walk into this Airbnb, which I guess is going to be a theme of this show, and I plop down on the bed. And by the way, I should tell you that this show, I'm going to start with the Big 12 had a really bad Saturday. I'll explain why. Nationally, just a bad Saturday. I also get into how, like, BYU, are you our only hope? Is that it at this point? And then I'll end it with Baylor and TCU. I'll wax poetic about that game. I get to the Airbnb. I plop down on the bed. And for some reason, the owner of the Airbnb put a picture frame propped up on the headboard of the bed. What kind of made it drops onto my nose, which starts gushing blood. And I think, nothing could possibly get worse. Oh, you wait, buddy. You just wait. The Big 12 was sitting there ready to give me a big slap in the face and a cut on the nose. Texas Tech, Baron Morton goes down, gets it done. All right, Rocco, you got time. You've done this before. We've seen this before. I say time, like 20 seconds, but we've seen you do it. And it's not like Texas Tech played perfect, but for some reason, against a team that many thought was the best, second best, at least, team in the Big 12, Texas Tech still found a way to win. Maybe have we proved something? Maybe when the opposition doesn't have knowledge that they can access Texas Tech's play calls, the Red Raiders are actually good. It does seem a little odd, doesn't it, that the 1 week after this whole scandal thing is over, Texas Tech goes and upsets Iowa State. And on the same week where Clemson and Texas A&M lose, who were right there above Iowa State, who were right there in that vicinity at least, the Cyclones go and do the worst possible thing they could do and say, you know what? No at-large bid for us in the college football playoff. We didn't want to be there anyway. Now, I'm sure I will argue over the course of the week, there are ways in which Iowa State could still pull off some kind of at-large miracle. But this isn't good. Then there's Kansas State, who's 7-2 now. 2 losses, huh? 4-2 in Big 12 play. And one of those losses, the 4-5, 3-3 Houston Cougars, who I wish could replay that UNLV game. Houston might go to a bowl game, but they look really good. Zion Chris rocks. Really, really rocks to watch football. And as I've questioned Avery Johnson, could he lead his team back? Jake Retzlaff, could he lead his team back? Rocco Beck, could these guys at the top of the conference lead their team back when they're down late in the game? Do I have the confidence they could march it a 2-minute drill and get it done and win it? And I typically say no. I don't usually trust a quarterback in a 2-minute drill because I just err on the side of a Big 12 defense when there are so many Big 12 defenses that have stepped up this year. But Zion Chris, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. He's just that guy. 14 points for Houston in the fourth. Kansas State, smell you later. Then there's, I don't know what happened to Oklahoma State. I don't know who broke you. 42-21. It was 42-14 in this game. Leading rusher for Oklahoma State, Ollie Gordon. Not shocking, right? Ollie Gordon, 11 carries, 25 yards. 1 touchdown. Congrats, by the way. 2.3 yards per carry. That is how we say in our industry, not good. Cam Scadaboo across the way. As we talked about the Doak Walker Award winner, the kid who is going to be the all-star Big 12 guy, Ollie Gordon, Cam Scadaboo said, Ollie, here's how it's done. 23 carries, 153 yards, a touchdown, and 4 receptions, 121 yards, and 2 scores in a game that was just, I don't want to say putrid, because the first half was pretty competitive, and Oklahoma State looked like they kind of had a shot to win. I was tempted to take the live money line for Oklahoma State, especially when it was 21-14 at the break. Like, okay, wait a second. Do the Cowboys have at least some semblance of them? The answer is no, they don't. Then there's whatever Arizona is. Brent Brennan, we tossed you the keys. Beep, beep. Here you go. Here you go, old chap. You got Noah Fafita and Tet McMillan. Why don't you go out there and win some football games? Nope. I'm not sure how you can lose 56-12 to a UCF team that, well, I don't think they're exactly horrible. They were last in my Locked On Big 12 Power Rankings last week because of the downslide, the complete slide they have made. Not anymore. I just 56-12. Any remote competitiveness would be great. Also, Dylan Risk. Gus Malzahn's supposed to be the QB whisperer. Why has this guy been on the bench all season? What a stud for UCF. And oh, by the way, they got a guy named RJ Harvey, 22 carries, 184 yards, 3 touchdowns. Good. Then those fighting Baylor Bears. They did it. They won. I'm wearing the jersey right now. I thought it was so funny. This is the one mean thing that I'll say all show about Baylor. I'm going to devote the last segment to what it was like to be in that stadium today. Yesterday, if you're listening. Pre-game, they have John Morris, the voice of the Baylor Bears. Hi, everybody. Come out of the game Saturday and wear black or anthracite. Just call it a blackout. Don't call it a black or anthracite out. If I called my grandma right now and said, Grandma, wear anthracite tomorrow, her head would explode. What? Why would you ever tell a fan base, hey, if you don't want to wear black, wear anthracite? What? Just tell them to wear black. They obviously know that this jersey, they don't even know. They're just going to say that the jersey's black. And you're like, nope, it's anthracite. Like, who in the marketing room was like, you know what, blackout? And then Daryl in the back was like, wait a second. Some people are going to be confused. We should include anthracite. That's how it went. I can almost guarantee you it's how it went. And Baylor said, well, in the name of the inclusivity of anthracite, let's add it in there, baby. And they did. But it kind of rocked. I'll talk about that in depth. Coming up, BYU, our only hope, Locked On Big 12. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. The clock did the thing last night. Cool, right? I like it personally. And I like even more 5 Hour Energy because I am up right now at 1:33, technically 2:33, recording a podcast about the Big 12 because of 5 Hour Energy. And our friends over there, they know you're a passionate football fan. They've created the Stand the Fan 5 Hour Energy shot with a special flavor called Fan Fuel. That's right. It's for super fans like us. And there's a huge play late in the game or a big upcoming game or an exciting moment that you want to watch with your friends. Don't be tired for it. Be wired for it. 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy knows no matter what your team, is. Being a fan requires heart, soul, and a whole lot of energy. Whether you're repping your big tailgate, ironing your jersey, 5 Hour Energy's Stand the Fan shot is here to keep you fueled. What's your fan fuel this week? Whatever it is, do it with the 5 Hour Energy. Available at 5hourenergy.com. Those ship nationwide. BYU is the Big 12's only hope in an at-large bid at this point. And it should not be that way based on what happened nationally this last week. I don't know if from the standpoint of the rest of the country, the Big 12 could have looked worse because of what Clemson went out and did, losing to Louisville 33-21, because of what Texas A&M went out and did, getting absolutely drubbed. I'm talking hammered against South Carolina, opening up an opportunity for Kansas State, who is sitting at 17, for Iowa State, who is right there in the neighborhood of the top 10, for BYU, who's in the top 10, to build a cushion. So you're looking at teams that move up, a team that builds a cushion. The Big 12's in a much better spot. And I keep going back. I was going to have the opportunity to keep going back to, hey, 3 teams in the college football playoff. Don't count us out. We got a real shot. Big 12 can do it. And now what? You know what? You know what the answer is to that? BYU. That's it. Oh, but Colorado's on the come up. Colorado at 10-2, they can make some noise. Sure. They're still a 2-loss team. Yeah, Kansas State lost to Houston, but Alabama lost to Vanderbilt, and K-State's got 2 losses. We don't have the liberty of what the SEC has. We don't have the leeway of what the SEC has when it comes to losses. If you have 2 losses in this league, I can't guarantee you anything. Yeah, well, Iowa State only has 1 loss, so they should be okay. Brother, when the AP poll comes out, if you're listening to this before the AP poll does come out, I can assure you Iowa State will stay in the top 25, but they will not be remotely close. With 4 games to go, and a lot can happen in 4 games, they can still go to the Big 12 championship. They will not be remotely close to the college football playoff at-large bid after being the number 11 team in the country, with a chance to tied for 11, 12, 11, that range, with a chance to move up following the Clemson loss and a chance to move up following Texas A&M's loss. Now that they lost to Texas Tech, who's been on a slide recently, you're not going to get anything. You're not going to get any, if we win the next few. Now what it becomes is BYU having, we've all just kind of put BYU in a bad spot. Here's why. Oh, no. He's going to say it. He's going to say it. BYU fans, plug your ears. I'm in this, again, musty, weird Airbnb in Waco, Texas. And I'm about to further deface this place by saying the following. The best case scenario for the Big 12 conference is BYU going 12-0 to the Big 12 championship game and losing to Kansas State and losing to Iowa State and losing to Colorado, losing to one of those teams, being 12-1, having home field advantage as the 6th seed, as the 7th seed in the college football playoff, having a night game, Lavelle Edwards Stadium. You lost. Yep, you just couldn't find a way to get it done in the Big 12 championship, and you lost. But now you get Clemson. You get 1 loss, Indiana. Uh-oh. You get SMU again, but this time it's in Lavelle Edwards Stadium. That is ideal. You don't want it. I can assure you don't want it. You want the bye. I would want the bye. Kalani Sitake wants the bye. He doesn't want to have to play at Lavelle Edwards while everybody else is off doing their own little bye week thing in that top 4. Of course not. But if you're me and you host Locked On Big 12, and we're talking best case scenarios for the Big 12, the only hope this conference has at being maximum on the relevance scale late in the year in the postseason is BYU going to the Big 12 championship undefeated, which you would agree with, you would like, and then losing the Big 12 championship game. Now, if you are a Texas Tech fan or a Baylor fan or a UCF fan or a Cincinnati fan, there is a vested interest, knowing your team's obviously not going to the CFP, a vested interest in ensuring the Big 12 Conference goes as far as it can. The SEC has this deal where all the fan bases kind of root for each other. The Big Ten has this deal where all the fan bases, they root for the best case scenario for the conference. And as a Big 12 fan, the fan of a Big 12 school, this is where we rally together, even you BYU fans, and say, hey, it's time for the Cougars to fall on a sword here. Otherwise, here's what will happen. BYU, number 5 of the country, going into the Big 12 championship game, will play Kansas State, who's number 13, 14, 15. Iowa State, who's a 1-loss team, a 2-loss team, they're number 13, 14. They'll play Colorado, who's number 13, 14, 15. And the second that team loses, goodbye. See you later. We have gone in the span of a week because of 2 monumental upsets in the Big 12 from, hey, BYU, you go keep winning, keep doing your thing. We can get like this 1-loss team in. Here's the way we do it. We'll find a way. You go undefeated, you go 1 loss, we'll be okay. We went from that to everybody else kind of ruining BYU's Big 12 championship deal if we want the Big 12 to succeed long term. And look, you and me, let's get close here. You wanted to leave Independence for a long time. You wanted a conference. You wanted a home. You kept telling me, we're so excited to have a home. This is a bit of the price you have to pay to have a home. We have to have the tough conversation where we set you down and we say, BYU, if you want to benefit the entire Big 12, the best thing you can do is keep winning football games until you kind of don't in the Big 12 championship. You're the only thing you can the only thing you can do to maximize your Big 12 membership is lose the Big 12 championship, go to the college football playoff, and win the entire thing. That's all I need. Just need you to lose that little one in there, but then go win the entire thing. The national championship, 1984. Yeah. And it stinks. And I completely get it. You, Kalani Sitake, everybody else, you just want to keep winning the football games in front of you. But the Big 12 has wedged itself in a very tough spot. And you are not going to reap any benefit from that. Coming up, Baylor TCU was sobering on Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel right now has been running a whole lot about how you can live bet during games. Baylor was down 7-0 to TCU, and I said, I'm in the stadium. I think I should put money on Baylor live, and I did, and they won. And right now, if you bet $5, you get $150 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel Sportsbook app. You go right now, you boop, boop, boop. What's live? What sports are there? You get a hunch in the middle of a game, you put a bet. FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. FanDuel.com, never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. I went to Baylor and TCU last night, and to be completely honest with you, I have been on the fire Dave Aranda train, almost an anti-Baylor train, a reconciliation with what my role was as a media member at Baylor. Now I'm transferring into Locked On Big 12 in the last year and understanding how, as an alumni, I can root for Dave Aranda when there are so many people who I've known who have coached in the Baylor program, who have played in the Baylor program, and who have not exactly seen eye to eye with Aranda. It is tough as an alumni to love a place so much, then start to resent pieces of that as they lose, and the coach just can't seem to put things together, doesn't seem like the right fit, isn't quite a leader, isn't going to bowl games, had one good season. Then last night changed everything. Last night felt like 2019 again. Baylor was cool. And if you're not a Baylor fan, I need you to know Baylor hasn't been cool in a little bit. They did that weird stripe out thing a couple weeks ago, every 3 rows, except for every 2 rows. And then this row was going to be all green. Then they released this really weird like branding thing with these shirts that were, I was told by a fashion designer, they weren't rendered correctly. So they just say, Baylor, we are Bears. And they're not spaced out at all. Baylor, we are Bears. But then in like 48 hours, something clicked. They said, we've had some pretty good atmospheres this year. Let's go blackout. And not only will we go blackout, we're going to play the best music that's currently out, the biggest hits that are out. We're going to put on the video board so many things that can distract opposing players, opposing kickers, get fans excited. We're going to honor the 2013-14 team that so many fans, so many alumni, including myself, never thought would grace that field again. And there they were. And those players built, listen to this, the reason that I wanted Dave Aranda fired. Because I saw what winning was like. It's when I decided to go to Baylor University was because of how good the school was in 13 and 14 in football. Because of how good RG3 was. And if that sets the standard, then Matt Rule comes in and my freshman year goes to a Sugar Bowl in his 3rd season in Waco. And then Dave Aranda even says, hey, the standard of Baylor is winning so much so I'll go to the Sugar Bowl and I'll win it. And then somewhere in here, you lose your way. You start losing. The fan base kind of gives up. You go 3-9. You got recruits. We pay players. What if one offseason is going to change things? And then you really don't start well this season. But now, after a 2-4 beginning, you've rattled off 3 straight. You just beat TCU for the 2nd time in a decade. And I'm telling you, the atmosphere in McLean Stadium, from honoring those teams to the Baylor line, to the student section being packed out the entire game, to Sawyer Robertson in a 2-minute drill, helping put a team on his back that ran the football so well all game, but making plays with his arm, saying, guess what? Baylor is at the standard it was in 2019 again. Wins-wise, they're 5-4. But atmosphere, moxie, competitiveness, and honestly, given what we saw against TCU last night, I would not be surprised whatsoever if Baylor wins out. If Baylor does something it's never done before, goes on the road and wins in Morgantown. For TCU, I have always been, I don't want to say always, due to love, a now ex-girlfriend. We live and learn. I had a TCU kind of a conundrum. It's like, oh, okay, the person I'm in a relationship with goes to TCU, so I have to kind of like them. Otherwise, I'm in the doghouse, and we do silly things for love. And I never really developed that seething hatred for TCU. Now, hosting Locked On Big 12, I cover every team in the Big 12, so I don't have the seething hatred for TCU. But what? Like, if not for the existence of Savion Williams, what is TCU football? What was that last night? It was just, hey, Josh, could you possibly throw it to Savion Williams? Or let's just kind of line up Savion Williams in the backfield and have him throw the ball for a touchdown or run the ball. And if we're gonna throw it, like, let's probably throw it to Savion Williams. 8 receptions, 92 yards. 2nd leading receiver behind Jack Besh, who was as good as he always is. I mean, that kid's automatic at this point. Hoover to Besh is one of my favorite connections in the Big 12 Conference. Savion Williams, 8 carries, 57 yards. And again, 1 pass, 6 yards, and a touchdown. It just became predictable by the end of the game. And then the defense for TCU, when at one point the Horned Frogs are leading this game in the 4th quarter late, and you're thinking, uh-oh, will the Bears be able to do it? Do they have the offense to combat what TCU is able to do offensively? It is TCU 27, Baylor 20 at one point in this game. And I'm like, I'm even 3rd quarter. Can Sawyer Robertson do it? And the answer is absolutely yes. And part of that's because TCU's defense completely falls apart. After allowing 13 points in the first half, allowed 24 in the second half, and Robertson has his way with the Horned Frogs, further proving he's a top 5 quarterback in the Big 12. No, he's not. Come on, check the stat. Nope. Yeah, those are the stats. He's a top 15 quarterback in QBR in the entire country. Robertson comes from Lubbock, Coronado, walks into Baylor, is the number 2 guy for a while. And then after Blake Shapen leaves, they bring in DeQuan Finn, drop the bag on the whole we pay players thing. He's going to come be the transfer that saves the program. And he's not good. Sawyer Robertson, the most selfless kid I've probably seen play on a Baylor football field, steps out there and says, I care about one thing, and that's winning for my team. And he does it. He's done it 3 weeks in a row. The Texas Tech win. Wow. Like, what an upset. Going on the road to get it done. Then the Oklahoma State game. Blow them out on homecoming. Then TCU comes to town, and they've had your number, and the Horned Frogs are now in a spot at 5-4, 3-3 in conference after Sawyer Robertson picked them apart, after the Baylor defense found a way in the end, after like so many dropped balls, where we're looking at Sonny Dykes going, dude, you were really good in year 1. You set the precedent. You did what I've already mentioned about 2013 Baylor, 2014 Baylor. You showed, hey, this school can win at the highest level still. Then you prove like not only can they win at the highest level, they can win with me as the head coach. And then you stop doing that. And Baylor at 5-4, albeit I don't think Dave Aranda is completely out of the woods. You now have to look at his staff, at the recruiting classes, at what he's building. And I struggle to use the word building because he's in year 5. Well, we shouldn't still be building things. These are your players. This is your program. You're on your 3rd set of coordinators. But what if it's clicked? What if that's it for Dave Aranda? What if it's clicked and this is it? He's finally got the perfect formula at Baylor to go win. That is very possible. And the kids play hard, man. And you know what? For you dissenters saying, oh, you're rushing the field against a 5-4 team, I speak on behalf of all Baylor fans saying, man, we're tired. Like, we're just tired. Baylor's lost to TCU a ton in this bluebonnet BS in the last decade. Just get it off. Just if we win, and then we haven't won a ton of games in the last 2 years, let the kids run on the field. Let them go play. I'm fine with it. And I'm fine if you come back tomorrow for the Locked On Big 12 Power Rankings. I would actually really appreciate that. That would make me very happy. This has been It Always Will Be Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.